right, buckle up, because today we're diving headfirst into the world of TON, the Open Network.
This isn't your average blockchain, folks.
Not even
Right.
close. We're talking millions of transactions per second. Millions.
Yeah, mind-boggling speed. Way beyond what most people think is even possible with blockchain right now.
It's like comparing a rocket to a horse and buggy. The white paper talks about this whole multi-blockchain idea. What's that all about?
So think about your typical blockchain.
Kind of like a single track, right?
Exactly.
Mhm.
Only one lane for all this traffic.
Mhm.
TON throws that idea out the window.
They're going multi-lane highway on us.
Basically. It's called sharding, splitting the blockchain into smaller chains, shard chains, that can operate simultaneously.
Okay, more lanes, smoother flow of traffic, but then they kick it up another notch with infinite sharding. Now we're talking, right?
Now things get wild.
Infinite shards, how does that even work?
Picture this. Each account on TON, potentially millions, with its own little blockchain.
Whoa, 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 hold on. Each account with its own tiny blockchain. How could that possibly function?
That's where their design comes in. They've developed this system, instant hypercube routing, where all these mini blockchains can communicate instantly.
Okay, so we got all these little blockchains zipping information back and forth at lightning speed. But what does that actually mean for me, the user? How would I even notice a difference?
Imagine using blockchain apps as easily as you browse the web right now. No lag, no waiting for confirmations.
That's the dream, right? But let's be real, a lot of this blockchain stuff can feel clunky. How is TON tackling that user experience hurdle?
User experience is key. They put a lot of thought into it. That's where TON DNS comes in.
Like the DNS we use now for websites?
Exactly. But instead of connecting to regular websites, it'll connect you to decentralized applications and services on TON.
So no more messing with those super long blockchain addresses.
You got it.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture here, but let's rewind for a second, go back to those shards. With all this data flying around between millions of these mini blockchains, how does TON ensure security? What about organization? Are we talking next level encryption or something?
The security's a big deal, right? And TON, they've got some really interesting ways to keep things safe, but also organized. It all comes down to this concept of bags of cells.
Bags of cells. Sounds kind of strange. Like, are we storing data in digital duffel bags now?
Think of it this way, like every piece of data, every transaction, every little bit of code is all stored in a cell. And these cells, they're like building blocks.
Oh, okay, so it's kind of like a Lego system for data. Each block is a cell, and you can connect them in different ways to build more complex stuff.
Exactly. That's a great way to think about it. And this bag of cells approach, it's not just about organization, though. It plays a key role in security, too. Remember those long blockchain addresses we were talking about?
Yeah, those things are a mouthful.
Well, TON uses something called Merkle proofs, which basically gives you a shortcut to verify information without having to download the entire blockchain.
Merkle proofs. Okay, that rings a bell. But maybe you could give us a quick refresher just to make sure everyone's on the same page.
Sure. Think of a Merkle proof like a digital receipt. It proves that a specific piece of data exists in a particular block on the blockchain.
Oh, right. Okay, so it's much faster than checking every single transaction on the chain.
Way faster and much more efficient.
Got it. So these bags of cells and Merkle proofs, they all work together to keep things running smoothly and securely. But what about the brains behind all of this, the smart contracts? What makes TON's smart contracts different from what we see on other blockchains?
Well, TON's smart contracts, they're unique because of how they work with this whole bag of cells structure. The TON virtual machine, the VM, can actually handle much more complex data types than your typical blockchain.
So we're talking like smart contracts on steroids.
You could say that. This opens up a ton of possibilities for developers. They can build much more sophisticated and powerful applications.
Next level stuff. And to make things even more interesting, I heard that TON actually incentivizes users to be efficient with their data storage.
That's right. It's a different way of thinking about things.
Yeah, because right now it seems like most tech wants us to hoard as much data as possible.
Exactly. But in TON, you actually pay for storing data on the blockchain. The more data you use, the more it costs.
Interesting. So it's like a built-in incentive to keep things lean and mean, no more digital hoarding. But how does that translate into real-world use? If I'm using a decentralized app on PON, what kind of cost am I looking at?
That's a great question. And it gets us to the heart of how TON sees this whole decentralized ecosystem working. They have this concept of ton services. Think of them like the decentralized versions of the apps and services we use every day.
Okay, ton services. So instead of like using Facebook or Instagram, we'd be using decentralized alternatives built on TON.
Precisely. And these ton services, they'd be powered by something called the TON network. It's like the underlying infrastructure, the foundation for this whole decentralized internet.
And what about stuff like file storage? Like now, most of us use things like Dropbox or Google Drive. What would be the TON equivalent of that?
For that, TON has something called, you guessed it, TON storage.
So TON storage would be like a decentralized Dropbox. Our files would be stored across the entire network instead of in some big company's data center.
You got it. It's all about shifting control and ownership of data away from those big centralized players.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. 10 services, TON storage, a decentralized DNS. It's like TON is building a whole new internet, but decentralized this time. But let's bring it back down to earth for a second. How would I actually use this decentralized internet? Would it feel any different?
Well, that's the question, right? And TON's answer is pretty interesting. They're thinking that you might not even know you're on a decentralized service.
Really? How so?
Remember how we were talking about TON DNS and how that makes accessing decentralized applications easier?
Yeah, like a phone book, but for the decentralized web.
Exactly. Imagine you go to your favorite website, right?
Yeah.
But instead of it being on a server controlled by one company, it's a ton site hosted on the TON network.
Okay, ton site. So it still looks and feels like a regular website, but behind the scenes, it's all decentralized.
Exactly. And the best part, because of TON's speed and how it can handle so many users, you wouldn't even notice a difference.
You'd get all the good stuff, the security, more control, no censorship without any of the technical headaches. I like it. But let's be real, we've seen a lot of big promises in the tech world. What are some of the roadblocks TON might hit trying to make this a reality?
Well, getting people to switch to something new is always a challenge. People are comfortable with the big tech companies, even if they have their doubts.
Yeah, it's hard to break habits.
Plus, TON isn't alone in this space. There are other projects out there trying to do similar things, so there's going to be competition.
A decentralized showdown. So you're saying TON has huge potential, but it's not a sure thing.
Exactly. A lot depends on how well they can execute their plans, get developers on board, and show people why this decentralized internet matters.
It's like they're building the plane while they're flying it. A lot of unknowns, but that's what makes it exciting.
Definitely. The future of the internet is still up in the air, but TON is pushing the boundaries.
Well, there you have it. We've taken a deep dive into TON, the technology, the vision, and the potential. Whether or not they completely change how we use the internet, well, we'll have to see. But they're asking the right questions, that's for sure.
It's a fascinating time to be following this space. Lots of potential for change.
Absolutely. And on that note, we'll leave you with this thought. If a decentralized internet became a reality, how would it change your life? What would it unlock? Think about it. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep on diving deep.
See you in the next one.